Hey guys, Morktorkus here. So, yesterday we got the reveal of the Call of the Mountain expansion for Legends of Runeterra, which is basically bringing the new region of Targon into the game. And today we have received our first 4 cards being revealed. From what we see of them, one of them is Bastion, which is clearly Tariq's spell, and they've teased that tomorrow we're going to be seeing a champion reveal. So I'm pretty confident that Tariq's going to be the one revealed tomorrow, and I'm very excited to see it based on the cards that we see right now. But we're going to go through those cards right now. I'm going to just give my take on each of them, and I'm going to do that for all the cards as they come out and are revealed to us. And then at the end of all the reveals, I plan to do a full set review and give some star ratings and stuff like that. I'd like to just have the full perspective on all the cards before I do start trying to rate them out, just because you kind of need that context to know really how good they are going to be. But today we're just going to do first impressions, and let's just hop right into it. So the first card, like I said, is Bastion. It is giving us this new keyword of Spellshield, which is going to nullify the next enemy spell or skill that affects the unit that has the Spellshield. So Spellshield is effectively barrier for spells. You could obviously use barrier to protect yourself from spells. That's a thing if your spell is dealing damage. So you could use Bastion and apply Spellshield in the same way that Prismatic Barrier could be used to apply Barrier, and both of them would block a Grasp or something like that, right? In that case, it would be exactly the same outcome using either one. But then that gets different when you have, say, Barrier is very usable in combat and is probably more often used in combat than to counter spells. Whereas if you get hit with a Vengeance or something, then the Spellshield is going to come in and fix that problem for you. So it's kind of comparable to Deny in that way, because you can cancel a spell, but you have a lot less direct authority over what's getting canceled with it, because you are leaving the Spellshield on the minion, and as long as your opponent puts a new spell on the stack before the spell that you were originally attempting to deny, then that one will be the one that gets nullified instead. So it's kind of the same way that Barrier has been easily countered in the past. You just Vile Feast it, and it's gone. Like, because of the fact that you can't put Barrier or Spellshield on the stack, you can't go block Grasp with it, and then they put Vile Feast on the stack, and then you put another Spellshield on the stack, and then you Spellshield both times. It's not something that you can do because of the fact that it's burst and it applies immediately, which obviously in a lot of situations is better because you get it immediately and it happens before anything else happens. But in other ways it's a weakness. So you're going to be able to use this to stop stuff like Vengeance sometimes, and that will be very powerful because it is uncounterable. You can't deny the deny or anything, and it's cheaper than deny as well. That it will really have those big impacts like that sometimes, but you're always going to have to keep in mind that tiny pings and things, and just any little spell, even something that maybe doesn't even do damage, like, I don't know, I can't really think of something off the top of my head, but some sort of fast spell that could apply an effect to you. I guess maybe like a Frostbite would be a good example of something like that, where you could use the Frostbite like a Brittle Steel to get rid of the Spellshield immediately, and then deal with it that way. But yeah, like, you're going to have to keep in mind that your opponent could use some of their mana to deal with your Spellshield ahead of time. So it's a lot of the time, I think it'll probably be even more counterable than Barrier, but it's going to have a much bigger impact when it works, I think. So that's going to be really awesome. I think this will be quite a strong card, and I think Spellshield is probably going to be around in a few different cards. I do think Tarek will probably apply Spellshield with a support, probably, which we're going to see that support is going to be a big thing for the cards that are coming up in what we're going to be looking at. And it kind of makes sense thematically that Tarek would be giving support because he does kind of tether himself to another ally and like buff them and stuff that way. And it looks like there's going to be a lot of support synergy. Support. But yeah, either way, I think Bastion's going to be really good. I don't think we really need to see more cards to really understand its power. I think it's going to be good either way. But yeah, I think it'll be more powerful than Barrier. I think it will. I think a lot of the time you really won't be able to, or I think you'll be able to plan out your turns to make the Spellshield get the most out of it. And at the very least, if you do make them use another spell to counter your Spellshield, you probably didn't expend that much, and it's like card for card kind of a thing. And like sapping your opponent of resources here and there is definitely not useless for you to be doing. Okay, so the next card is Tiari the Traveler. It's a 2-mana 2/2 support that grants the supported ally +0/+2. So obviously very, very comparable to War Chefs. War Chefs is in Demacia. It's a 2-mana 2/3 that supports and gives +1/+1. But this one, it was brought to my attention that it grants it, so it is not temporary. If you initially look at the card, you might think it is, but then you're like, no, it is a permanent buff. So, well, the fact that it's a little smaller than War Chefs is definitely quite a downside. The difference between 2 health and 3 health on a 2-drop is very significant because of 2 attack. 1 drops easily, dealing with you that way. But the fact that it's a permanent buff can be very important, especially if your opponent is not really developing much early on. Because of that, you just get this support off, and then maybe you just keep snowballing. Well, like, this could die to a Mystic Shot or something, and that's like a really big downside. I think that in certain matchups, it's going to be really, really good. And, like, anything like Shadow Owl's control type stuff won't be able to deal with something this early. And you will get at least 1 support off very easily. And then you're threatening more, and then they're going to be required to try and deal with it before the next time it happens and that kind of thing. Also, the fact that we are going to be having other support synergies and making support more important, I think that this will be a very important card for Targon as a region, and I think support is going to be a really cool mechanic going forward, and I'm excited to try decks with that, especially like Shen decks, because I haven't really played a ton of Shen, and Shen's a support that has a very strong support effect, you might say, and we'll probably have a lot of synergy with this kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it's a very cool card. Then this next one is Mountain Sojourners. 5-mana 2/5 with support. Grant my supported ally +2/+2. Again, permanent stats. If that ally has support, also grant its supported ally +2/+2. So you're like supporting all the way along the chain, which sounds really awesome. If you do manage to do that, which I'm not saying is going to be easy to do, it's not. But if you do manage to do that, then that is a ton of stats. You're given +4/+4 every time you do that kind of attack. But that is 3 minions that need to be attacking simultaneously, and one of them, the other ones, has to have support. But clearly, this is a good reason for you to be running a support type deck. Like the stats that you get initially are great, and then it'll just keep stacking every time. Your opponent will very much need to deal with it. Obviously, this minion on its own is not very impactful of a stat line. 2-5 is terrible and can't even block fearsome units. But once you get those attacks down, it's really gonna be very impactful in the game, I'd say. I think it's really just gonna come down to how often can you keep your stuff on the board? How much can you really snowball this board? And if you need to block, it might really slow you down and make it so you don't reach this point. Because sometimes your opponent's going to be putting on that pressure. You're going to need to block some of their stuff. And these support guys and your other units are going to have to go in there with their less than ideal stat lines. And then you risk not having all of the pieces you need to make the Sojourners really have an impact. But I'm certainly going to try it. I think that there's going to be enough support cards that you'll be able to make a deck that you're often supporting and often going to have an ally that has support when you play this. It's just really a question of is it too slow, is it too understated, or really, it's going to matter how understated all the other units are that have support. And normally, units that have support aren't very good stat-wise, but they could be. And I think it might certainly work a lot better if you're using a Shen and things like that. But yeah, this one's definitely an exciting reason to try support as a concept, and definitely going to make sense with Tarek if Tarek ends up being a support guy, which I think he will be. So the next card we have is the Arbiter of the Peak, which is a 10 mana 6/6 with Overwhelm, and reduce my cost by 1 for each time you've targeted or supported allies this game. So it's very comparable to Plaza Guardian, also a 10 mana 6/6 that has its mana reduced by doing something. I have not had success with Plaza Guardian ever before. I've tried him. Honestly, I probably should try him more, because a lot of the times the reason I ended up not having success with him was because I just didn't draw him in those games. So who knows? Maybe Plaza Guardian isn't as bad as I think he is. But I honestly think that Plaza Guardian's a lot easier to discount than this is. You can play a lot of cheap spells in certain decks and make Plaza Guardian a lot cheaper, a lot faster. But the thing is that this has Overwhelm, and that had Quick Attack. Now, Quick Attack is very good because you get to probably protect the 6/6 stats when you're attacking and keep them around to attack a lot. But it's easily chump blocked, and this is not, because it's got Overwhelm. And this is more likely to end out a game when the Plaza Guardian is just there as a little bit more pressure, more pressure, more pressure. This one is probably going to be enough pressure to push them out. Although in like a big, tough mid-range board, that's totally different. You're probably going to want to chip away at their large stuff over time. But either way, I think this makes more sense as a keyword for that kind of a thing, but I think that the reduction is going to take forever. I guess there's play effects that could do stuff like that, but that's every time you're playing a minion, you've got to be doing a play effect. That's one reduction. Then every time you support, that's one reduction. Every time you play a spell on your own stuff, that's one reduction. I don't think that you're going to be doing that in abundance fast enough. So if you want this 6/6 Overwhelm to be cheap enough for you to really care, you're going to want it to be less than 6 mana. If you're playing 6 mana, 6/6 Overwhelm for 6 mana, you're not running this card. It's too much to worry about for you to be playing it for 6 mana and potentially not getting it to happen on time. I mean, I guess that's almost impossible if you're making the deck around that kind of stuff, but it doesn't make me excited to have a 6 mana 6/6 Overwhelm. We already got stuff like that. We got stuff that's better than that. So by the time you're at like 4 mana, I guess you're happy, potentially. Even then, like, I'd rather have more of a fantasy than that when you have a card like this, but 4 mana, you're like pretty happy with it, right? That's 6 times that you have to do this kind of stuff. Now, when are you going to be able to do that by? So you're doing all these supports. So you're hoping to develop enough supports. You're only able to attack with supports on your attack rounds. That's every second round. In the same way that with Sedge and Gangplank and stuff like that, if you're only getting their level up condition on every second round, it's going to take a long time for them to level up. Because you're only doing it when you're attacking. You might even not get it when you're attacking. And this isn't true there, because you're going to get the support if you're attacking. But also, like, you might have to attack into bad trades because you need those supports to go off if you want to reduce this. You can't just pass a turn and not attack, or else it's not getting reduced. So if you're like throwing away your Tiari the Traveler for nothing, then you're gonna feel really bad about having this Arbiter that's just sitting in your hand. Then you've got these spells that you could cast on yourself, but you're only gonna be doing that so often. You're normally gonna be wanting to do that reactively. So again, that's not gonna be happening very often. I think this is gonna take forever to reduce to a reasonable amount. It will be too late in the game, or it won't be impactful enough by the time it happens. I think Plaza Guardian might honestly be better than this, and I don't think Plaza Guardian's very good. So, I mean, I'm not super hyped about this, but maybe if we have like 1 mana support guys, which we don't have yet, that might make it a little different. The point is, I don't think Arbiter's going to be very good. But it's still a cool design. I think it's still a cool card. I might try it out. But the other stuff excites me more. Alright, so that's it for my first impressions of these cards. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm excited to see Tarek tomorrow, and we'll definitely talk about him when we see him, and any other cards that get revealed alongside him, which there probably will be some, for sure. So please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, comment down below what you think of these cards, and if you're excited to be playing this whole new support archetype and that kind of a thing. And please subscribe if you'd like to see more content from me in the future. So thank you so much for watching, I appreciate it so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one.